Hello, welcome everyone. We're so excited to kick off our webinar here tonight. I love seeing all these introductions in the chat. For those who don't know, my name is Jackie Schrager. I am our program director here at SIA headquarters.
Hello, my name is Sarah Detweiler, and I'm the program coordinator. It's nice to see everyone tonight. So, Jackie, do you want me to continue with our icebreaker?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, so we just want to do a quick little icebreaker. You're all really active in the chat already, but if you want to just drop in the chat, tell us about some of your favorite Soroptimist moments.
I know for a lot of our members, some of the favorite moments come from these international connections we get to have, seeing people in the chat from Japan, Tennessee, the Philippines, all over the globe. I see Amy says Dream It Be It is one of her favorite Soroptimist moments. Someone said the Dublin, Ireland conference this year. Live Your Dream Award presentations, getting to give that award, that is a special moment for sure. Convention and getting to see everyone. I hope that whoever said that is planning to see us all in Bellevue. Wow, they're coming in so fast. It's wonderful. Spring conference, meeting past presidents, visiting scholarship recipients for an update, getting to hear what they're doing with their lives. Oh, all these wonderful things. Meeting members from all over the world. Yes, so wanted to just start with a wonderful, warm, fuzzy moment to remind us of all the fantastic things that we all get from being part of this amazing organization. So we're going to transition now into a presentation about how to craft a very strong Soroptimist Club Grant application so that your club has a better chance at receiving grant funding, so that you can participate in our amazing programs, Live Your Dream Awards, Dream It Be It, and the Big Goal Accelerator Projects. So we'll get started with that shortly. Welcome to our webinar. We're so excited to go over our Soroptimist Club Grants with you so that more clubs can apply with strong applications. Please be aware that this webinar is being simultaneously interpreted. So if you're watching in English, I may seem to be speaking a little bit slowly. This is necessary, though, so that our webinar can be accessible for all members. If you're watching the replay of this in the future, this is how the grants are operating for the 2023 to 2024 club year. It may change in the future based on user feedback. So, what are Soroptimist Club Grants? Soroptimist Club Grants for education and economic empowerment are funds sent from SIA headquarters to Soroptimist clubs to financially support your local work in your community that increases access to education for women and girls. These grants are funded by club giving and other contributions. We also have Soroptimist Disaster Grants. Clubs wishing to pursue a disaster grant must apply on the same timeline as the club grants and can reach out for more information by emailing us at program@soroptimist.org. First, make sure that your project is eligible for a club grant. Soroptimist Club Grants fund projects that will contribute to our 2021 to 2031 big goal, investing in the dreams of 500,000 women and girls through access to education, leading to economic empowerment. Only projects related to the DREAM programs, meaning the Live Your Dream Awards or Dream It Be It, or projects that are Big Goal Accelerator projects can be funded through the Soroptimist Club Grants. All other applications will be marked as ineligible and not considered for funding. The funds are used to support a project during the club year after you receive them. So if you apply in March 2024, the project would be implemented in the 24-25 club year. This is not a rapid grant funding process, so please be sure to plan accordingly. Grant funds may be used for the following items: operational costs for a project, equipment and supplies, and educational materials. However, funds may not be used for the following: a donation to another organization or individual, including scholarship funds, fundraising projects, consulting services, deficit financing, speaker fees, or stipends for expenses for Soroptimists or other volunteers. I want to take a moment to focus on the scholarship part of the previous slide. So you can apply for funds for a scholarship project, but it would need to be funds that would maybe support the recruiting process for your scholarship, hosting scholarship workshops, or other operational costs. But you cannot receive a grant for the scholarship funds themselves. So for example, if you were to apply for $2,000 to give two $1,000 Live Your Dream Awards, we could not fund that grant and it would be rejected as ineligible. But if you were to apply for $2,000 to host 3 application workshops, including room rentals, food, raffle prizes, things like that, that would be eligible. Funding requests for the DREAM programs should follow these guidelines. Again, for the Live Your Dream Awards, the grants cannot be used to fund the award itself. Proposals will be considered for club efforts that are expanding on the award's impact for the recipients or that will help to reach additional women. This could include efforts to support additional education or training, mentoring, job assistance, and other things like that. It could also include efforts to recruit more applicants and expand partnerships to help reach more women. Live Your Dream Award projects must report their award efforts using the club reporting form in order to be counted as participating. For Dream It Be It, funds can be used to begin a new Dream It Be It project or to add a new dimension to an existing project, including recruitment efforts and partnership expansion to reach more girls. All Dream It Be It projects, whether they are grant funded or not, must use at least one session of the Dream It Be It curriculum. And they must use the Dream It Be It evaluation form and submit your results to SIA. Soroptimist Club Grants also can fund your Big Goal Accelerator projects. So, what are Big Goal Accelerator projects? These are club or region projects that do increase access to formal education for women and girls facing obstacles, but they are not the DREAM programs and do not reach the same women and girls in your DREAM programs projects. They should be seeking to reach new women and girls in your community. So categories of eligible Big Goal Accelerator projects include scholarships, classes focused on job training or skills needed for formal education, or providing items that are required for formal education or work. These projects must be Soroptimist-led hands-on projects, which means your club cannot donate to another organization and call it a Big Goal Accelerator. Only Soroptimist clubs may apply for these grants. Remember that members should be actively engaged in the project for it to be successful. Clubs should not apply for funding for projects that will not be primarily managed by the club, as these applications will be denied. Our goal is to fund Soroptimist Club work, not to support other organizations. All outside partnerships must be explained clearly in your application. If multiple clubs are working together, a lead club should be designated to complete and submit the application and eventual grant impact report if your club receives the grant. So all projects must focus on increasing the number of women and girls who have access to formal education. Remember, we have a big goal we're trying to reach. For a strong application, make sure to explain how your project will increase the number of women and girls who have access to formal education. Clubs are only eligible for one grant per year. You can apply for more than one grant, but only one grant application per club will be funded. Projects that have received previous Soroptimist Club grants are eligible for additionally one grant, making that 2 grants in total. To be considered for additional funding, the club will need to demonstrate an increasing level of commitment by the club and the community. Projects will also be considered for an additional grant if they have added something new to an existing project. Now, let's talk about the application process. The online application will be available starting December 1st each year. Applications are due via online submission at the link to SAA headquarters by March 1st each year. PDF or mailed submissions will not be accepted. We do have handouts in all of our languages to help you with the application, so be sure to consult those before you get started. There are tabs at the top of the page on the application to help you revisit different sections. You won't be able to skip ahead in the application, but you can go back and review or update a completed section. There is no need to save your application as you go along if you plan on completing your application in one sitting. If you would like to take a break and finish your application later, please click the How to Save Your Form button at the bottom of your screen in the application. This will bring up instructions for how to save and return to your application later. A club member should be the one to complete your proposal. That contact person named in the application should be the person involved with the project who is most knowledgeable. The contact person should also be prepared to follow through with the project during the grant period in which the funds will be used. The club president and club treasurer will also be responsible for overseeing the project budget for the duration of the grant period. The project contact, club president, and club treasurer will all be asked to sign a contract if their project is selected to be funded. Now, let's talk about your application project details. To start, describe your project in an effective way. Make sure that your proposal is clearly written, includes all requested information, and is detailed enough for reviewers to understand the full project. Projects that are not clear or fully described to the application reviewers won't receive funding. A well-written and thorough proposal is as important as your project itself. Remember that while you're probably very excited about your project, it's the first time that these evaluators are hearing about it. Be sure it's clear exactly what members will be doing and how this project will increase the number of women or girls who can access formal education. Overly vague applications will not be funded. It's also important to make sure that your budget items align with what you are describing in your application. For example, if you say that you're hosting a workshop to focus on career skills for women who want to start a career in home health care, and your budget lists food, pens and paper, and workbooks, that would be logical and make sense with your application. You would need those items for your workshops. However, if you list in your budget that you also need to buy diapers and baby formula, you would want to explain why in your application essay sections. Perhaps your club is providing childcare and wants to have those items on hand, or maybe you're giving them away to attendees as an incentive for coming. Just make sure that you explain any items. Remember that evaluators are not mind readers. Items that are not well explained in your budget or that don't make obvious sense can jeopardize your chances of receiving funding. Be sure to describe how Soroptimist members will be involved in this project. SIA wants to fund hands-on projects that thoroughly engage our members. You should describe how Soroptimists and community partners, if you have any, will participate in the project and the amount of time contributed. A strong proposal will also directly connect the hands-on activity of the club to the funding that you're asking for. Explain how club members will be involved in the activities that would require grant funds. You will need to clearly explain what members will be doing in your application. For example, if your club is delivering a job skills training class for women living in a shelter, you would want to describe how women will be selected for the project, how often Soroptimists and the trainees will meet, what Soroptimists and trainees will do in these classes, and what the classes will cover and how that will help increase their access to education. You should also be prepared to estimate the number of women and girls that your project will reach. Do not include club members or other volunteers in this number. We only want the intended direct beneficiaries of the women and girls facing obstacles. We really encourage that you focus your application on a project that will have an impact on more women and girls instead of just a few. This will make for a stronger proposal. For example, providing period products to an entire low-income high school could give you thousands of girls who can benefit, rather than buying a laptop for one girl entering college after living in foster care. Both projects are amazing, but one will reach far more people. In your application, you want to make sure to document the problem that your project aims to address and explain how you determined that your community had a need for that project. So the problem for all of us is access to formal education for women and girls facing obstacles or lack of economic empowerment. Be sure to use statistics. Local, national, or international statistics are all good, but local is the most compelling. Stories, information from experts, or anecdotal evidence can also help make a connection between your project and how it will address that specific need in your community. A combination of these methods is recommended for a strong needs assessment. Many grant proposals discuss only a general problem that the project will address. This is a good starting point for your needs assessment, but it is not complete. A complete needs assessment also addresses the local need that will be addressed by your project. For example, if a proposed project offers past Live Your Dream Award recipients a bus pass for a year so that they can attend school, it would not be sufficient to write a needs assessment that only details the problem of expensive transportation. What also needs to be included is why transportation is an obstacle to accessing education in your community. You would want to answer questions in your grant such as, do past recipients report having to miss class because of a lack of transportation? You can include some testimonials or statistics here. Partnerships are a really great way to engage your local community. If you are engaging any partners to help deliver your project, you will be asked to describe the partnership and how you will ensure that the project will primarily be managed by your club. Please remember that your project must be Soroptimist led in order to be eligible for funding. All projects must have an evaluation component so you understand your impact. The DREAM programs already have a robust evaluation program. And therefore, clubs that are applying for grant funding for DREAM programs projects do not have to complete questions about evaluation in their application. However, Big Goal Accelerator projects will have to indicate how they plan to measure if their project was successful in increasing access to education and economic empowerment for women and girls. Your club could do this by a survey or questionnaire, interviews with participants, or some other method. If in your application you select Other for your method, you must explain what tools and how you will evaluate your impact. SIA requests evaluation plans to be able to understand the impact of your club project. We know that members are increasing access to formal education for women and girls with your great projects in your community. And we know that you get to see those positive changes in women and girls firsthand. But we also want to be able to understand and talk about that life-changing work through specific measurements. Your project evaluation helps us with this by including what you are measuring and how you will measure it. All projects must have the same goal: to increase access to education for women and girls. For our Big Goal Accelerator projects, they typically do this in 3 ways: by providing items that are required for education or work, by providing classes or skills training, or by providing scholarships or cash awards for education. So let's look at an evaluation example here. If your club's project is to reduce barriers for women who are in cosmetology school by paying for their licensing fees, your objectives might include something like, number 1, decrease stress felt by the women enrolled in the program. Number 2, increase the number of women who become licensed and are able to find work. And number 3, decrease barriers for employment for women. So if those are your objectives, your evaluation must measure those objectives. One way to measure these objectives would be to do a pre-assessment and post-assessment that includes the same questions. If there is a shift in the average response, you can attribute that change to your project and know that it was successful. So an example of some questions to measure the previously mentioned objectives might include: please rate your current level of stress about completing your education on a scale from 1 being low to 10 being very high. And then women would rank their stress along that scale. After the project, you would compare to see if the whole group average decreased their feelings of stress about completing their education. Some evaluation questions can only be asked at the end of a project. For example, after your club has paid the licensing fees for the women in the program, you could ask the following questions to measure your second and third objectives. Number 1, did you successfully obtain your cosmetology license? And then if you successfully obtained your cosmetology license, were you able to find related employment in your field? And then number 3, did it help you achieve your employment goals to have your licensing fees paid for? If you can't measure an objective or you just don't plan to measure it, don't include it in your evaluation plan. Remember that an evaluation plan that only asks participants what they liked or didn't like about the project is not sufficient. Feedback from these types of questions can be helpful for your club's future planning, but it doesn't allow the club or SIA to understand the impact that your project had on the participants. A strong evaluation plan like the one discussed in this example will allow a club to measure and succinctly report their impact in the following ways. So you might be able to say 90% of women enrolled in the program reported a decrease in stress about finishing their education. 95% of women enrolled in the program were able to obtain their license. And 80% of women who obtained their cosmetology license found employment in their field. These numbers show the impact that your project had. Remember, a project with no evaluation plan or without a clear one will not likely be funded. We mentioned before that you want to be as specific as possible with your budget items. The budget sheet should list all of your expenditures that will be covered by your requested funding. All dollar amounts should be listed in US dollars. If you don't list in US dollars, we will have to send your application back or may even deny it outright, so be sure to do this. We do provide a link in the application that will help you convert your currency to US dollars. List all items separately and be specific about what the items are. For example, if your project is to provide a computer library to a local domestic violence shelter for women who are attending school online, your budget line item should include the cost and number of each item that you need. So, for example, you might write laptops, 4 of them, and they're $500 each. Printers, 1 printer at $250. Paper, 20 packs of paper at $15 each. And ink cartridges, maybe you need 10 at $30 each. Do not simply list supplies and then a total cost. You may understand what supplies includes, but the reviewers of your proposal will not, and they need to understand how all of the funding will be spent. Overly vague budgets are not likely to be funded, so details are your friend here. The total cost of the item will be automatically calculated for you. A step you can take to ensure that your application is strong is to enlist the help of someone who is not involved in the project to read your proposal. It's helpful to have someone else read over your proposal to see if anything is not clear. A strong proposal will not leave the reviewer with any unanswered questions. It should thoroughly describe what the club is planning to accomplish, what the funds will be used for, and how the objectives will be met and measured. One of the best ways to ensure that your proposal is clear and complete is to have someone not involved with the project read it and identify any gaps. This will give you a stronger proposal in the end. If your reader has questions or misperceives something, it's likely that the reviewer of your proposal will too, so be sure to take their feedback into account. Be sure to ask for help with your application if you need it. Your region's program chair can help you think through your project and develop your proposal. You can also contact us at SIA headquarters to request assistance by emailing program@soroptimist.org. Our staff cannot review proposals before the deadline, but we are happy to discuss any questions you have about the application or eligibility. You can also find help resources on our website. To find them, click for clubs and members. then Program Resources. On the next page, you will scroll down until you see the Soroptimist Club Grants box. Then you'll click Learn More. A new tab will open. If you're ready to apply, you can scroll down and click Apply Online button for the online application in all languages. You can scroll a little bit further to find resources in all languages to help with your application. You'll find the tips for applying and Club Grant application worksheet in every language. The Soroptimist Club Grants Tips for Applying resource includes an overview of what we've covered in this webinar, all in one place to help you prepare your project proposal. The Soroptimist Club Grant application worksheet is a guide that will walk you through the application. With all of the questions that you will be asked in one place, you can better prepare your application. Don't forget, if you cannot do the whole application in one sitting, there are instructions to save and return to the online application at a later time. So let's look at the application timeline again. Applications must be submitted through our online application by March 1st. So if you successfully submitted by the deadline, what's next for you? Applications will be reviewed and clubs will be notified by June 30th if their project has been chosen for funding. Region program chairs will score each proposal and recommend grant amounts. Proposals are scored on the extent to which they meet the program requirements. It's important to remember that funding is limited and competitive. So even if your application is eligible and strong, it may not be funded or fully funded. This is simply because money is limited. We are working to increase the amount of grants that we can give each year, but we are ultimately limited by our budget. All grant decisions are final. So let's say you were chosen for funding. Hooray! But you're not done yet. We will email you and ask the following information from you. We'll send you a link to sign a contract signed by your contact for the project, club president, and club treasurer. This contract agrees that you will spend the funds as you said you would and report back on the impact. If you don't, you will be at risk of not being in good standing. We will also ask for your club bank account information if you are in the US or Canada. Clubs in other parts of the world do not have to send their club bank information, and we won't ask you for it. We may also request change directives. So we may ask you to remove a part of your budget to adjust for a lower overall budget, or to ask you to further explain a component like your evaluation plan. Not all grants that are funded will be asked to change something, but we do need that part to be completed before we can send your funds. So in the US and Canada, you might wonder, why do we need your bank account information? SIA does not issue checks anymore because of the staggering amount of check fraud that exists these days. Additionally, most of our clubs are not located in the United States, so it just makes sense to send the funds through ACH or wire transfer rather than a check. So, what if along the way your project changes or you realize that you need to spend the money very differently than what you included in your application? Please email us right away. We understand that things change, but we want to make sure that your project still has the original integrity of focusing on access to formal education for women and girls, and that you're including eligible expenditures. We want to be good stewards of these donations. Okay, so you've completed your contract, sent back your bank information if you needed to, and also updated any required change directives. Now what? So let's look at the timeline. Once we've received all of your required information, our program team will submit a payment request to the finance department here at SIA. We will send you a confirmation email as soon as the funds are sent to your bank account or to your region. The exact timing of this depends on when we receive all of the requested information from you. You can typically expect to receive your funds between June and July, but the quicker you get us the contract and required information, the quicker that you'll get your funds. So next, we will talk about reporting on your impact. If you receive a grant from SIA, you will need to report to headquarters about the outcomes of your grant by August 15th of the following year. So if you receive your grant funds in July of 2024, you will need to report on your impact by August 15th of 2025. You will receive several reminders from us about this deadline during your grant year. So, what if you weren't able to finish your project on time, or you're just not ready to complete the report yet? Please request an extension by submitting an impact report form. If you request an extension, you won't have to answer all of the rest of the questions. Please explain why your project or report needs an extension and suggest a new due date. We will then review your request, and you'll get an email confirming if your extension was granted or asking for more information if needed. We do not require you to keep receipts for your expenditures, but your reporting form will ask if you used all of your grant funds, the population that you helped and the obstacles that they face, and also ask if your project achieved its objectives. If your project wasn't a dream program, we will want to know what kind of evaluation you did and what the outcomes were. How did you know that your project was successful? For the dream programs, we will ask if you reported your impact through the reporting channels for those programs. We will also ask how many women and girls your project served, about the club's activities and if anything changed from your original plan, any comments from the participants, and if any of them have agreed to have their photos or contact information shared. There's also a box where you can upload photos. Please note, it is never required to share the contact information or photos, although they are appreciated. We understand that women and girls may not want their images shared, and that's more than fine. No need to explain in your report. The goal of this reporting form is so that we can understand the impact that our grants are having and share that with Soroptimists and the world. To help you prepare your impact report form, you will find an example with the questions on the Soroptimist Club Grant research page. To find this page, again, you would click on For Clubs and Members, then Program Resources, then scroll down until you see the Soroptimist Club Grant box, and then you'll click Learn More. A new tab will then open to the Soroptimist Club Grant resource page. Please scroll to the bottom where you will see a section called Impact Report. You will find the impact report form example draft in all languages. You can also find a list of the funded projects for the current club year, as well as the final total impact report for the previous club year's Soroptimist Club Grants. Okay, thank you everyone for paying attention. I know that was a lot of information, but we wanted to take advantage of having all of you here with our lovely interpreters to make sure that everyone had the information they need to make a strong application. We're going to transition now into a little game that will be interactive. So as we get this going in the background with our presentation, I'd like you all to locate your reactions tab at the bottom of your screen. It may be under more. If you can't find it, that's okay. You can just type in the chat if you'd prefer. But we're going to do eligible or not. So if you think something I say is an eligible project, you would use the thumbs up reaction. But if you think it's not eligible, you would use the raised hand reaction. So I see people doing it already. So first one, we'll start with really easy. Is my club eligible to apply for a Soroptimist Club Grant? So if your club is in good standing, are you eligible to apply? If you think yes, please give a thumbs up. If you think no, please give a raised hand. So everyone with the thumbs up reactions, you are correct. All Soroptimist clubs in good standing are eligible to apply. Now we'll move on to some project-specific examples. A club is applying for a club grant for a scholarship program for women who are not eligible for the Live Your Dream Award, but who are low income and enrolled in an educational program. The budget is for $3,000, and their only budget item listed is one $3,000 scholarship. Is that project eligible? So if you think it is eligible, please give a thumbs up. If you think it's not eligible, please use the raised hand reaction. Seeing a lot of reactions here. So this is not eligible. Remember that clubs cannot use the grant funds for a scholarship or donation to an organization or individual. However, they could use the money to help recruit applicants, post online ads about the scholarship, or to host application workshops. Next question. So a club is applying for a grant to host a membership event to attract new members to the club. Eligible or not? If you think it's eligible, please give me that thumbs up reaction. If you think it's not eligible, please give me the raised hand. Okay, everyone with the raised hand, you are correct. This is not eligible. Clubs cannot apply for funds for anything other than programs that increase access to formal education for women and girls who are facing obstacles to their success. So no fundraising projects, no public awareness projects, or membership projects would be eligible for a grant. Eligible projects could be Live Your Dream Awards, Dream It, Be It, or those Big Goal Accelerator projects. Okay, next question. A club is applying for a club grant to purchase sewing machines for a series of training courses to help women gain sewing skills so they can find employment. Eligible or not? I think everyone knows what to do now, so give me that thumbs up or the raised hand, depending on what you think the answer is. Okay, good, good. All right, so this is eligible. Projects that request funds for the purchase of equipment or supplies to support a Big Goal Accelerator project are eligible. Be sure to only include requests for eligible costs in your budget. If items like volunteer stipends are included, your application will be sent back to you to be updated or potentially rejected. Okay, final example. A club is applying for a club grant to help pay for printed resource materials for their domestic violence and human trafficking awareness campaigns. This is to help prevention in their local community. If you think it's eligible, please give a thumbs up. If you think it's not eligible, please give me the raised hand reaction. I'm glad we included this one because we definitely have some confusion. So this is not eligible. Clubs cannot apply for anything other than programs that increase access to formal education. Awareness raising projects are not formal education, so they would not be eligible for a grant. So that should always be your first question. Does this increase access to formal education or economic empowerment? All right, thank you everyone for playing that game. In our remaining time, we will transition to live question and answer. Please be sure to use the Q&A box. We already have some great questions in there. Please don't use the chat. I don't want it to get lost. Please keep your questions focused on club grants only. And if you have a very specific question that's really like our club in this specific circumstance kind of thing, please email us. The email address is there, program@soroptimist.org. Please also email us if we run out of time and don't get to address your question. So, Sarah, would you like to help me with the Q&A section?
Okay, all right. Thank you, Jackie. Just want to make sure it's off. Okay, a lot of great questions. So our first question is, can funds be used for paid media, Facebook posts, boosting, or paid posts? So anything specifically to promote programs? I think I understand that right.
Yes. So yes, this is a great question. And the answer is yes, you can use funds for paid media, a Facebook ad, or boosting a post to try to get the word out about your Live Your Dream Awards, a Dream It Be It, or maybe a Big Goal Accelerator project like a scholarship or training classes. So that is a great use of those funds.
Okay. Next question. Can funds be used over the course of 2 years or only for the upcoming fifth club year?
So it is typically 1 year. We ask clubs to design a project that can be done in 1 year. However, we know that sometimes things happen. So of course, with COVID, we had a lot of clubs who needed extensions. If you do get a grant and you find yourself needing more time to use the funds, or if you just need another couple weeks to complete your report, you would still complete that impact report form and just indicate that you need an extension. Give us a new deadline that you would like for that application to be, or I'm sorry, for your impact report to be submitted. And then I'll review it and reach out to you with any questions. So if there's any lack of clarity there, we'll be in touch and we'll let you know when it's approved.
And we have a question about what time frame that the funds should be used. So if you want to elaborate a little more on that too, just to
Yep, so it should be within 1 year of the grant being received. So really by August 15th. And I'm seeing another question coming in as well related to that. So if you have any unused funds at the end of your project, you do need to return those to us. That is in your contract that you would fill out when you receive a club grant.
Okay, and can you elaborate on what is included in economic empowerment?
Yes, certainly. So anything under economic empowerment would be about increasing skills needed for work or education, or anything that would help someone with work. So that could be a wide range of things. This all falls underneath our Big Goal Accelerator Project window, as well as Live Your Dream Awards and Dream It Be It. But anything that's going to help a woman or girl with being able to support herself is really what we're talking about. But it does need to be a direct link. So for example, if your club wanted to provide women who are enrolled in a job training program who need to wear a specific uniform for that program, if you wanted to give them those items so they can attend, that would be eligible. But if your club is, let's say you want the women to feel confident when they're at that training program and you're like, well, if we pay for them to have their hair done, then that will help them feel confident and they'll be more likely to finish the program, that would not be eligible for a grant. I hope that helps. If you have any questions further, please feel free to email us.
And can we apply for money to help us get a fundraiser started?
No, so that would not be eligible. It really has to be strictly program. So it needs to be something that is focused on Live Your Dream Awards, Dream It Be It, or a Big Goal Accelerator project. Fundraising, membership, public awareness, none of those are eligible for club grants.
And I think it's probably our final one. Just asking for some clarification for access to formal education. Is this only for college level education, or the beneficiaries, can they also be primary or secondary level?
Yes, this is a great question. So that can also be primary or secondary level, can be college level, could be, if you really wanted to support someone who needed a GED or a training certificate, anything like that. We're talking about education that will result in them being more likely to be able to eventually find work and be able to support themselves and their dependents. So the thing we often say, and I apologize if this doesn't translate, is we're looking at access to formal education, not educational activities. So great question. Okay, well, thank you, Sarah, for your help with that question and answer session. I do see we have more questions in the chat and Q&A, but we are at time. So please be sure to email us program@soroptimist.org. This also will be recorded and emailed out to you. So if you missed the beginning or if anything is unclear, it will be available. And please share it with other club members so everyone can benefit from this evening. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day or night wherever you are in the world. And thanks for your Soroptimist service. Goodbye, everyone.